So what is your name? What school do you go to?
Man, CJ Campbell Jr. and I attend Florida State University.
CJ, where are you from?
I am originally from Campbell, Louisiana, but I moved to Panama City, Florida, where I graduated high school and came to Florida State.
Okay, I got you. I got you. And what year did you walk on at Florida State?
I walked on at Florida State the summer of 2021, right before that season started.
Okay, you're so you walked on summer of 2021, post COVID. Well, I mean, before I get into specific questions like that, could you just tell us about your general recruitment coming out of high school?
So in Louisiana, my first 2 years, I was uh, school I was at, they didn't want to really give me that much of a chance. I was at a very small school, 3A in Louisiana, which is only about what, 500, 600 students there.
Mm.
Um, and I was on JV, just doing my thing on JV and never got that opportunity to really showcase what I could do on varsity. And then my dad was like, hey, let's make a move to Panama City because, he had better opportunity for work. We moved there. And after my junior year on defense, at strong safety, I had a pretty strong showing. And Davidson College, he got was interested and ended up offering me at the strong safety position. And then after my senior year, running the ball, doing all the things I did, Davidson offered me again at running back. So I guess yeah, they really wanted me to go there, and at the time that was really pretty much my only connection with the school and everything like that. So I was pretty excited, verbally committed. Of course, I didn't have much motion when it came to the recruiting process, but then I got a call from Coach Carlos Locke at Florida State, and he offered me a preferred walk-on spot. And when he offered me that spot, it was like, I mean, Davidson, yeah, but I wanted to play at. When you think of college football, you think of schools like Florida State and things like that. So I
Absolutely.
wanted to play at a big school, and knowing you got to walk on, you got to pay for the school and everything like that. But the high school I went to, they had this thing called ACE, like honors programs and things like that. And I was able to earn a full ride academic to Florida State. And that's how I'm able to pay for everything. So I decided to come here and walk on at Florida State University.
Yeah. Okay. It was the Davidson in North Carolina,
Yeah.
the Steph Curry school. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Davidson.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, before we get into like the ace, so you went from safety to running back. It happens often, but like, switching from offense to defense, different kind of mindset. But I mean, if you're an athlete, you're an athlete. So why running back versus strong safety?
Well, I mean, I had always loved, like in Louisiana, I played both sides. So I
Mm-hmm.
played running back and safety. But whenever I got to school in Florida, it was like I felt like I had to, strong safety. Yeah, I like defense. I like hitting people, but I liked, you know, touching the ball and getting away from people just as much. And I felt like I was better at running back than I was at safety. Just naturally, just based off natural talent. And I love watching. I watched Saquon Barkley since his freshman year at Penn State. I watched Adrian Peterson, Darius Geis, all those guys like that. Me being from Louisiana, watching Leonard Fournette and them run the ball, it always stuck with me. And I felt like I could be one of those types of running backs, to not only be able to get away from you, but run through you if I have to, and I took pride in, being able to run the ball and make something happen for my team other than just defensive stops.
I got you. I got you. So I mean, okay, so Florida State calls and say, hey, prefer walk-on position. Obviously, like anybody, I mean, you Power Five, Florida State, like everybody knows the history around Florida State. And Davidson was the only other school that was reaching out. Were they the only one who was talking? Like, were other schools involved?
So Davidson was really like the only Division One FCS school. I mean Bucknell and Furman Paladins, they had hit me up, but they weren't really talking about anything. They were doubting my size and things like that. So they didn't. That's why they didn't drop the offer on me. But also, a few smaller schools like NAIA, D3, things like that, not as appealing as those FCS or FBS schools. But yeah, but once I got that preferred walk on Florida State, it was head over heels. It was like I'm going there.
Yeah, I got you. I got you. I mean, but so throughout high school, you're in Louisiana, you're in Florida. Those are one of the bigger football states in this country. And I'm pretty sure you was playing against some boys, like some dudes that was
Yeah.
5 star, 5 star all the way down, getting highly recruited. You're competing against them. I'm pretty sure you making plays against them. Like, so how did that feel knowing that like, everybody was getting a little bit of something except you?
You kind of that's kind of where my chip on my shoulder always came from because I mean I've felt like I've always been overlooked, all my life. No matter how hard I work, no matter how much I put in, but I always felt like at the end of the day it's gonna pay off. Just because they're not paying attention to me now doesn't mean they won't later. So I feel like as long as I keep on, grinding in the dark, it's gonna come to light eventually, and everybody gonna notice who I am. But yes, at the end of the day, it was pretty. It was a bitter taste, just knowing that, even if you felt like you were better than somebody, they're still getting that notoriety and the things that you always been working hard for. But sometimes that's just how it happens. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, so Florida State, there's it's a big pond. There's some boys there. You could have went to Davidson and said, I'm probably day one starting running back. You're gonna get the shine, you're gonna get everything. So why did you take that walk-on position there, knowing that you would have to have a lot to overcome instead of probably day one starting at Davidson?
so usually like come on, like I'm going into college. Nobody coming out of high school should just automatically be the day one starter. And I'm knowing that now that I've been through what I've been through, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, and then again, like everything, like just saying, like I've been through a lot of things in my life leading up to that point. You know what I'm saying? Nothing has ever come easy to me. I don't ever, nothing was ever just like, here, there you go, silver spoon, nothing like that. It was always, you got to work for what you want, you got to go get it. So I felt like this was just another one of those things that would test my mentality. So I was like, it was either like you go here, smaller school, get everything you want, you know what I'm saying? All the people, patting you on the back, or you go to this bigger school, FBS, and prove to yourself that you're good enough to play on that level and show everybody else that probably doubt that you could play at the level that you could. So I feel like that's pretty much the reason I chose to come here. I knew that I could play at a higher level, and I always felt that I could play at a higher level. So I feel like if I want to prove that to myself, why not take this spot?
Absolutely. And it seems that you have. So correct me if I'm wrong. So it says that you were scout team player of the year your first year there. Can you tell us about
Yes,
that?
sir. Oh, so being on scout team, it's not always as easy as people think. They think you just look at a card and run plays, but really and truly, you're going against the best defense every day, all day long. And not only that, but you have to give them the best look possible because if they don't get a good look, then you know when they get to the game, it won't be the same. So every day I went in, and I just gave it my best. Just being the playmaker. I know myself to be, and running the ball hard. Even if sometimes it did get a little chippy, take a couple hits and everything like that, but that just makes you tougher. But yeah, I try not to take any plays off, and just try to give them the best look possible, no matter if they liked it or not,
Yeah,
because I came there for one thing only, and that's to get better and try to make it to the league, get to that next level. So I felt like every day I had to come in and it was my Super Bowl.
yeah, absolutely. So, did you know that they had the Scout Team Player of the Year award before the season even started? Like, did they tell you about it, or what was going on with that?
I had no idea they even gave awards for the stuff like that at the end of the season. I thought end of the season, it was just I didn't even think we had an award ceremony. I thought it was end of the season. Either you make it to that championship game and things like that, or you don't. And so whenever we did get to that and they said my name, it was pretty much a shock to me because all that time sometimes I did feel like I was doing some things good and then I go to the other side and I mess up a little bit and I get fussed at. So I feel like they're just not paying attention to it, but they really are. And that's what that gave me a sign of hope to show that, what I'm doing is actually worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you had no idea about this award. You won it just off of strictly grinding and everything like that. You said you had to come in every day as I mean, it's kind of hard because once you get to college, oh, I'm finally here at Florida State. You got that helmet, you got that jersey, and then you're on scout team, and like that is your only point of scout team. And as somebody who's been on scout team in both college and NFL, like you're gonna get yelled at for no reason because somebody else is messed up. The cards are not right. It's always gonna be somebody else's fault. Like, and you feel on top of being a walk on that, hey, like, are they even paying attention to us? Like, do we even exist? Because you already know Saturday they're just trying to move you out the way and all that stuff so they can focus on the game. Like, so I mean, you're in terms of just getting better. Like, how did you feel in terms of like taking just that approach every day? Like how did that what did that do for you just as a player, as a running back?
Like as a player taking that approach, I mean, it helped me adjust to the game speed for sure. Like coming from high school to college is like
Mhm.
10 times, 20 times faster. I go back to high school now and I was there practicing. I'm like, are they running? Like,
Mhm.
but yeah, it helped. It definitely helped with my game speed for sure and my decision making, things like that in a running back. But it also helped me to mature and take a different style of coaching.
Mhm.
Because in high school, being good, being that guy, you don't usually get yelled at or anything like that. But like whenever I got here, a whole lot of yelling going on. So it was like getting my mental ready to and prepared to be able to take all that yelling and everything like that and not showing no emotion and showing that affected me in any type of way.
Yeah, I got you. So before we move on to your second year, so you're in Florida State, you got an academic scholarship, correct?
Yep.
But we all know the mark of a man, especially when he's a walk on. I mean, everybody kind of has it in the back of their mind is for the coaches to be, hey, here's an athletic scholarship. That means you're here, like this, and this. Like, what are your thoughts behind getting the athletic scholarship from the program?
My thoughts on getting that, I mean, like I feel like once you get that athletic scholarship from them, they have no choice but to, give you that chance and things like that because they're investing in you as a player.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever they put that money forward towards you, they're not just doing it just because they're like, oh, yeah, you're on the team, here you go. Things like that. It's more like, hey, you're on the team. We believe like you can make it to that next level and you can help us win games. So that's how I always thought about it. Like once you're on that scholarship, you feel me? They have the utmost trust in you that and your athletic ability. So and that's pretty much what I think about that.
Absolutely. So when that moment happens, you gotta speak into existence. When that happens, what is that moment gonna mean for you when they call your name, say, "Hey, you're on athletic scholarship"?
Oh, that moment's gonna mean the world to me. It's just gonna show that, it might have taken me a little bit longer than most people, that's here, but at the end of the day, I still earned it, if not worked even harder to earn it. and just knowing that they believe in me and trust in me after seeing all the things and all the hard work that I put in, it's just gonna make it even more satisfying because they know, like, hey, we can rely on this kid. Even after we brought him in, he was a walk on. He still did everything he had to do, still did everything the right way, not failing any type of test or anything like that, just trying to make sure that, I'm reliable and things like that.
For sure, for sure. So now getting into your second year, you scout team player of the year, got momentum coming into the year, but it doesn't exactly start the way you wanted it. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so coming off that Scout Team Player of the Year, at this point I'm focused on, learning the offense and showing them that I can actually like play in the game and prove to them that I should be on athletic scholarship and things like that. So, coming into spring and everything, I'm doing my thing, learning the offense pretty well. Everything's going good. Going into fall camp, have a pretty good fall camp. Come back for the last scrimmage, and on my final run play of the day, break my ankle, broke my right ankle, 2 weeks before the first game, and I had a lot of momentum going for me, and I was feeling good about the season, feeling like I was gonna be able to touch the ball a lot, and be able to be a part of the offense and show that I can make plays. And then I broke my ankle, and usually whenever something like that happens, people tend to go in the dark and be like, "Oh, I worked this hard and all this happens and things like that." But uh, I was not letting that happen. Like I broke my ankle. Yeah, I cried that night. Of course I did. I was scared to see like how bad it was. And then after I stopped crying and everything, I was like, okay, this is it. Like, what you gonna do? Like, you gonna work to come back this season? Because they said you can't come back till next season, next spring. And I wasn't doing that. I couldn't mentally, I could not sit there and let myself do that. So I worked and I came in rehab 3 to 4 times a day, every day. Every
Mhm.
day they was open. And I was able to come back about midway, about a little bit over midway, about Georgia Tech game.
Mhm.
Came back and was able to score my first touchdown.
Yeah, well, before we go into that, I mean, I
Gotcha.
definitely want to spotlight the injury because
Mhm.
stuff happens. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff happens where unavoidable. People roll on you, fall on you. Like football, like the only thing that's guaranteed is you're gonna get hurt with something. Um, so and like you were saying, you had your moments of just moping, being sad, but you kind of got back into it and you went through rehab. But did you get surgery?
I did have surgery.
Yeah, so you got surgery and you were starting, I mean, day one boot or crutches. I'm not sure which one, but one of them. And throughout the rehab process, you know better than anyone, you're gonna have some good days and then you're gonna have some bad days where like you're gonna have days where, oh man, ankle's getting back. I'm about to be back quick, all that stuff. And then some other days like this ankle got stiffer. Like this thing ain't
Yeah.
moving. Like this thing, oh my gosh, like what is going on? So in terms of the bad days, like what was the kind of mental talk during those bad days of like, man, I'm not sure. Like, what were you telling yourself?
During those bad days, you just wake up and it's just bad. Like you just feel it. It's just like there's not a no avoiding it, no nothing like that. It's just like your mental is just like, man, like I'm hurt. I can't do this. I can't do that. But at the end of the day, I was like, hey, good Lord woke me up this morning. I can go do something.
Mm-hmm.
I can still do this. I can still do that. I'll never take walking for granted again. That's for sure. Like I would never take walking for granted again. So I tried to on those bad days, I tried to think of the things that I am able to do, not the things that I'm not able to do. Like, yeah, I can't go on the field and run routes or anything, but that don't mean I can't like, go sit down and learn the playbook for a few minutes and still be in tune to what I love to do, things like that. So whenever I tend to get a little sad and things like that, I try to find something to do that I love to do other than, you know, go outside and play football. So I sit down, draw plays. You know, I'm really smart academically, so I do my homework or just play the game with friends and things like that just to try to cheer me up. But at the end of the day, I always tell myself, hey, like, I mean, if anything, this is probably as bad as it gets. It can only get better from here. So um, go ahead, tough it out, and then when those good days come, cherish them. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean it's I mean that was a great point that you said of just what can I do instead of focusing on what can't you do, because where you turn your attention is it's going to be a good day or it's going to be a bad day, and it's all mental. It's not physical. It's all mental. Like physical, like a lot of stuff is out of your control, but the mental almost all the time it's in your control. So definitely love that point. But getting back to, you creeping back, it's looking like you're coming back mid-season, or a little bit after mid-season, and the Georgia Tech game. So that was your first time suiting up. Can you tell us about that day?
That day, it was like there's a tech game. You know, usually you suiting up and you're gonna play. You know,
Mm-hmm.
just you just so excited at the end of the day. But like I was excited, and then you know how sometimes you get those nerves, the butterflies, and things like that. I didn't get them.
Mm-hmm.
Putting my pads on, it was more like I'm ready.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had been waiting so long for that moment. It was just more like I wasn't nervous. I wasn't nothing. I was so serious. I was just ready. I was
Mm-hmm.
ready for my moment, ready to do whatever I could whenever I got in. And whenever I did get in, that's whenever, it was all surreal. Like I got in the backfield, I'm looking around, I'm like, dang,
Mm-hmm.
I'm here. Like,
Yeah.
let's do it. Got to touch the rock, did what I could, man, and eventually got in the end zone. So it felt amazing. It really
Yeah.
did.
So you score you were back in your first, basically that was your first collegiate game. Um and after being on scout team, so you wasn't suiting up for Saturdays. And your first game you touching the rock, you score a touchdown. Like, so what having that moment, what did that do for you in terms of how you look at your high school experience of not necessarily getting recruited like that? The it was a redshirt year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the redshirt year, starting the season with a broken ankle. Like, what is your view of just basically the struggles you've been through? Um, and, I mean, when you scored your touchdown, like, how did you feel?
I mean, my view was, uh, it was basically like I'm gonna say this. My view. Ask the question one more time. If you tell me one more time.
Yeah, so like, what did your just through the struggles that you've been through up to
Mm-hmm.
this point, waiting to play, being patient, believing in yourself, and but when really nobody else believed you at times, believed in you, what did that touchdown mean to you in all of the struggle that you've been through to that point? Did it make it worth it? Like, what was it like?
Oh, I mean, that touchdown right there, I mean, that just goes to show you like it don't matter where you start, don't matter how you start, but how you take each and every opportunity and finish that opportunity through to the best of your ability. Because I've out of high school, I could have been like, oh man, they're not offering me no scholarship. I'm not coming here. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I don't want to go to Davidson. It's too small. I'm not going there either. So I could have been stuck at the drawing board. You know, and it was more like, I forget it. Like I've been through harder things. I can go through here and try my best. And whenever I finally got that touchdown, it was more like, wow, like really, it's really like whatever you put your mind to, you really can do it. Because some people be like, "Oh, you just saying that, you just talking." It's all talk until it actually happens to you and you believe it. You
Hmm.
know, and I got that touchdown. I had a planned celebration and all. Did one to my grandma. That didn't even happen. I just spazzed out.
Yeah,
Just all the emotion, all the frustration, all the excitement, everything came out at one time. You
yeah,
know, and and then turn around seeing my boys on the sideline just go crazy because they all know how hard I've been working and things like that just to try to get a moment like that. They just seeing all of them excited for me and things like that, that made it even better because not only did I believe in myself, but my brothers behind me believed in me as well. So that touchdown right there just meant a lot, man. It really did.
absolutely. I mean, the planned celebrations are always the funniest because like, oh man, like don't even worry about it. I'm gonna hit this like and it changes up. I'm pretty sure it changed up like three, four times throughout the course of like years before you and
Yeah.
then as soon as you get to it, as soon as it happens, like it happens so fast that it's just like whatever is in you that day, like you could be thinking about this for months. You can be sitting on one for months. But whatever you're feeling that day, that's what comes out. Like shoot, my first touchdown in the league. Like I had plans, you know what I'm saying, but I don't know where that ball went. You know what I'm saying? I don't, you're supposed to keep the ball and all that stuff. I don't know where that ball went. Like like luckily one of my teammates went and grabbed it, but I'm supposed to hold on to the ball and all that stuff. But nah, that's amazing. That's great. Kind of speaks to your dedication, just continuing to believe in yourself. And that feeling, yeah, that's a wonderful feeling. But you then turned around the next week against Miami. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I mean, we need that story too. Go ahead and tell us about that one.
So coming off that Georgia Tech touchdown, we going into Miami. It's rivalry week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I was even more into the game plan and things like that, just trying to make sure whenever I do get in, or if I do get in, I got my chance. And not only just on offense, but on special teams as well. A big part of it is special teams. One of the fastest ways you can get on the field. So yeah, I had been preparing all week. Don't get me wrong, ankle was still a little sore, but I was pushing through it. I was like, man, I just want to play. Like I worked so hard for this. Like, look, I just want to play. And we get to it. Somebody goes down on a unit. Back him in on special teams and running down. It's like, man, but and playing in Miami, it's an NFL stadium.
Yeah.
I had never in my life been in an NFL stadium ever. First
Mm-hmm.
time ever. So just being able to run down on punt or kickoff and things like that, it was just amazing, and going into it, whenever they finally called my name, it ended up being a blowout. It's just what we wanted. Rivalry game. You don't want to show them no mercy. And they were like, CJ, get in. I ain't gonna lie, I cracked a smile so big when I heard that. They told me get in. And then in my head, I'm like, well, if I touch this ball, like I gotta do something with it. Like I gotta score or something. So I get in, a few plays don't go too well, I'm just trying to get the groove. One of them I could have should have made somebody miss in open space and I could have broke a long, but it didn't happen that way. But end up getting it around like the 7, 8 yard line. Was able to trap my way in there, and it was another great feeling because rivalry game. Miami got to play in. That's the game that everybody around the world probably knows about for the Miami rivalry. So for the state Miami rivalry, and whenever I got in that end zone, it was just like, man, like 2 for 2.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my coaches was just always telling me, he's like, hey man, don't just overlook that. I know you've been working so hard and things like that. Cause sometimes I'll just be like, I didn't really have a celebration that time. One of my teammates picked me up. So because I tried to act like it was normal at that point. But I scored again. He told me that he was like, hey man, don't just overlook it, bro. You've been working hard and this is your second one. Like you're on a little streak now, 2 for 2.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta keep it going anytime you get in there to that ball, trying to get in the end zone. I was like, yes, sir. So That's pretty much the mentality it was going into it. Like I touch the ball, I got to try to get in the end zone, regardless of what goes on, and yeah, that. I mean, that just added more fuel to the fire. Me wanting to go ahead and do my thing.
Absolutely. So score two touchdowns in your first two games as a college football player at Florida State. One is against Georgia Tech, one is in a rivalry game against Miami. What does that do for your confidence, especially as a running back? Like it's like it's running back by committee, so like a lot of you guys don't get too many touches at once and all that stuff. So, what did that do for your confidence now that you've had success so early when you've gotten opportunities?
Oh, it definitely boosted because, not only did I have the success early, but it was also whenever I didn't really know much. You know, we running the same thing over and over just to try to, help me build that confidence, things like that. So now going into it with me knowing more of the offense and the playbook and things like that, I feel like, I mean, that's just the beginning because now that I know more, we can change it up and things like that. So, um, just that early confidence and knowing what I can do in the playbook, being able to play fast. I mean, man, it's gonna allow me to be and and feel like the player I was in high school.
Mm,
Let me get a little more comfortable and things like that, and just go out there and be able to play free without thinking too much.
absolutely. No, that's a thing that just as a football player, like you want to get to of when you felt free, when you felt loose, when you had a rhythm, which is the most important thing because just any level from here on out is going to be about rhythm and how you do when you get those few opportunities. So definitely hold on to like keeps you what keeps you engaged, what keeps you like just ready to touch that grass and everything for when they call your name. It's like, oh, it's good. Like you definitely want to hold on to that feeling. So definitely keep that mentality. But getting back to the questions, how does being a walk on inspire you?
Um, Being a walk on inspires me because it forces me to do everything the right way. I have no leniency like to myself or just the things that are required or expected of me to do. And I feel like even if I was on scholarship, I'd be the same way. But I feel like you know it can get to a point to where like they feel like sometimes, oh, this won't matter too much, or this won't matter. But being a walk on it, everything matters. So just knowing that inspires me to keep doing what I'm doing. And also being a walk on and working as hard as I can is also seeing how it inspires like younger kids and things like that. Just even dudes that I've known in high school, I've seen a few of them, they be like, oh, that's so cool. They don't even think about walk on scholarship thing. They're like, you play at Florida State, like you're doing it, man. Like, and then just seeing them be like, oh, it don't matter where I go. Like, as long as I try my best and things like do things like you're doing, like I can do it as well. So just seeing how that inspires others and, helps bring that mentality towards them that they have a fighting chance, that inspires me as well.
No, that's real. That's definitely just now that you're there, it's probably kind of, I mean, you've been in Florida State for a little while now, so it's every day. But somebody back from Louisiana or Florida is probably like, man, wow, like wow, how does it feel to wear that hoodie or walk into the locker room and all that stuff, and you almost forget because you're just so in it. You're so in it that you're not even looking up and everything. So definitely love that. And you kind of alluded to this a little bit with that last one, but the people who see your story, the people who are going to see your story, um, what would you say to the guys who are walk-ons currently, and what would you say to do guys who are not getting no love coming out of high school and the recruiting is not working well for them? What would you say to the current and future walk-ons?
I would say, just, keep working, stay humble, always try to outwork the man next to you, man. No matter if they own scholarship, they walk on, or if they even on the same level as you, you feel like, just try to outwork that person because you never know when it's gonna pay off and when your opportunity is gonna come. Since I've been here, one of my coaches always told me, don't let your opportunity embarrass you. And that's what I've been working so hard to not let happen, so don't let that opportunity embarrass you and just continue to believe in yourself and don't let nobody tell you what you can't do because you can as long as you believe.